It began at 2:46 p.m., a seemingly ordinary afternoon in Minami, a picturesque coastal town nestled between mountains and the sea. Aya Nishida, a nurse at the small community clinic, was tending to a patient with a sprained ankle. Suddenly, the room began to shake violently. The walls creaked and groaned as if they might collapse. Glass vials crashed to the floor, and the ground swayed like a ship in a storm. Outside, chaos erupted. People screamed and ran into the streets as buildings cracked and rooftops caved in. The ground split open in places, swallowing cars and trees. The air was filled with an eerie mixture of dust, screams, and the wailing of emergency sirens. For 6 agonizing minutes, the earthquake held the town in its grip. When the tremors finally ceased, Minami was a shattered version of itself. Buildings lay in ruins, and the power was out across the town. But the worst was yet to come. The ocean's warning minutes after the quake, Aya received a chilling call on her radio: massive tsunami expected. Evacuate immediately. She rushed outside, where the townspeople were already gathering. The ocean, usually calm and inviting, had transformed. The water receded with alarming speed, exposing the seafloor. Fish flopped helplessly, and stranded boats tipped on their sides. Some curious onlookers moved closer to the shore, unaware of the impending danger. "Get to higher ground," an old fisherman bellowed, his face pale with terror. "The water's coming back." His words were drowned out by the growing roar, a sound like 1,000 freight trains barreling towards the town. On the horizon, a dark line appeared, growing taller and closer with every passing second. It wasn't a wave. It was a mountain of water, black with debris and moving with unrelenting fury. The wave Aya grabbed the hand of an elderly man who struggled to walk, urging him toward the hill behind the clinic. But the wave was faster. It struck with unimaginable force, swallowing buildings and trees in a single gulp. The sound was deafening, a mix of smashing wood, shattering glass, and the unending roar of water. The wave hit Aya and the old man with the force of a freight train. She lost her grip on him as the water pulled them apart. Tumbling in the torrent, she struggled to breathe, her lungs filling with icy seawater. The current slammed her into debris: a floating car, a shattered roof beam, but she managed to grab onto a tree trunk that had been uprooted. Around her, the water was a churning mass of destruction, houses reduced to splinters, cars tossed like toys, and bodies swept away in the chaos. As the wave surged inland, it carried Aya farther from the town. She clung to the tree for hours, her body bruised and her mind numb with shock. Night fell, and the screams of the stranded faded into the darkness. The ocean's wrath was relentless, sending smaller waves to batter what remained of Minami. The aftermath: when dawn broke, Aya awoke to a scene of utter devastation. The town she had known her entire life was gone. Streets were buried under mud and rubble, and the bodies of the dead lay tangled in the debris. Survivors wandered aimlessly, their faces etched with grief and disbelief. Aya stumbled through the wreckage, her nurse's instincts kicking in despite her own injuries. She found a boy trapped under a fallen beam and managed to free him. Together, they searched for other survivors, forming small groups to pool resources and comfort one another. The air was thick with the stench of seawater, mud, and death. Rescue teams arrived days later, bringing supplies and searching for the missing. Aya worked tirelessly alongside them, setting up a makeshift clinic in what remained of the school gymnasium. Each new patient brought stories of tragedy: a mother who had lost her children, a fisherman who had watched his boat capsize, families torn apart by the waves. But there were also stories of incredible survival. A man had climbed to the roof of a 5-story building just in time. A baby was found alive, floating in a wooden crate. Strangers had risked their lives to save others, forming human chains to pull people from the water. The rebuilding months turned into years, and Minami began to rebuild. The town was never the same, but its people refused to let the tsunami define them. They built memorials for the lost and planted cherry trees along the shoreline as a symbol of resilience. Aya, now a celebrated figure in the community, continued her work as a nurse, dedicating her life to helping others. Every March 11, the townspeople gather on the hill where so many had sought refuge. They light lanterns and release them into the night sky, their flickering light a tribute to those who were lost and a reminder of the strength it took to survive. This expanded narrative delves into the physical and emotional impact of the tsunami, painting a vivid picture of destruction, survival, and the indomitable human spirit. 40